This is the godly play telling of the exile and return. This is the desert. The desert is a dangerous place. Where there's no food or water there, people can die in the desert. When the wind blows, the shape of the desert changes. You can lose your way. The sun is so hot that people wear many clothes to keep the sun from burning their skin. When the wind blows, the sand stings your face and hands. People need protection from the blowing sand. At night, it's cold, and you need many clothes to keep warm. The desert is a dangerous place. People do not go there unless they have to. This is Jerusalem. Here is the wall. Within the wall is a temple that the people of God built. And here are the people of God. They knew that God was in that temple, but they also thought it was the only place that they could pray to God. The people thought the wall would protect them from everything. But then the Assyrians came and they attacked the city, and it was a terrible time. The people fought and some starved to death, but finally the Assyrians went away. Then the Babylonians came, and they did not go away. Their king wanted the city of Jerusalem for himself. They broke down the walls. They burned down the temple. And they took many of the people of God away from Jerusalem. Only a few were left in the land. The soldiers marched God's people away from Jerusalem. They looked back at the smoke of the burning city and wondered if they would ever see it again. As they walked through the desert, they had to get up when the soldiers told them to get up. They had to eat when the soldiers told them to eat. They had to eat what the soldiers told them to eat. They had to go where the soldiers said. They had to go to bed when the soldiers said. They grew weary, and some died. It took a long time. The people of God were in exile. They could not go home. When they came to Babylon, they hung their harps on the weeping willow trees and sang sad songs. They dreamed of Jerusalem and the temple, but they could not go back. They even faced to Jerusalem when they said their prayers. Slowly, God's people began to understand that God was in this place too. God's presence came to them as they gathered to read the scriptures, to tell the old stories, and to pray. The king of Babylon allowed many of God's people to work. They set up little stores, and some worked for the king. It was a shock when the king of Persia came and took Babylon for himself. This new king let some of the people go back to Jerusalem. Some went with Ezra, and they began to rebuild the temple. More were allowed to go back. They went with Nehemiah, and they began to rebuild the walls of the city. The people of God were no longer in exile. They could go home again. But do you know what happened? Not all of the people went. Some stayed in Babylon. They knew that God was in the strange and foreign land, and some stayed because God was there too. Now I wonder, what part of this story do you like best? I wonder what part of this story is the most important. I wonder where you are in this story and what part of this story is about you.